Hey everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards Talk. Trekyards Talks?
Top podcast.
Our Trekyards podcast. That's right.
We
So
do so many shows.
well, quite a few days ago, we found out
Yep.
some very interesting news, which got everybody all a buzz and on all of Twitter, literally. But yeah. So Samuel, what was the exciting, awesome news that we're going to talk about today?
Well, we got the surprise press announcement that there is going to be a new Star Trek series, TV series, a little bit, coming in January 2017, which is just after the 50th anniversary of 2016 next year. As you all know, Beyond comes out.
So 01 is the month and 17 is the year, so 1701. Really? Is that a coinkydink? I don't know.
I haven't heard that yet. Nice, I like that. Or in England, it would be 01, 07, or 01.
Yeah, it would be for most of the world, but I'm just shuffling numbers.
But America counts, right? Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So yeah,
anyway.
it was a hell of a surprise. I don't remember what I was doing specifically. I was like, oh, I remember 10 minutes before there was people posting online saying, oh, rumor new Trek series. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then, no, seriously, real Trek series, StarTrek.com. I was like, oh, okay, what?
I remember what I was doing. I was sitting in a McDonald's, eating a quarter-pounder BLT. Then I saw your post on the Trekyards page saying new series, and I'm like, oh, check that out. Oh, look at that.
And so you jumped up and down, and you started dancing, and you did the rumba, and...
No, I did not.
do you keep one of those party streams? Do you keep one of those in your pocket all times just for a Trek announcement?
Yes. Every time we hit 500 views on a video, I just, yay. I could be in the middle of the mall or whatever, yeah.
So, what was your first take then on this news and the press announcement, which is relatively small?
First thing I thought was, this isn't real. This is just another...
Yep.
We've heard this before. And then I actually read the CBS announcement, and it's like, oh, okay. And then I saw that Kurtzman was the producer, and I just kind of went, oh, no, that's not good. And I was not excited about that at all.
The legend.
And then all this CBS All Access subscription stuff really kind of... I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Yeah, I didn't. It's an American-only service, so I wouldn't even be able to get that.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the ironic things. So obviously, you all know the announcement, you all know what it says, but basically, yeah, Alex Kurtzman, which is half the writing team between the Bad Robot films, is executive producing. Not showrunner, though, that's not the same wording that's been used. It doesn't necessarily mean he's running it, it just means he's in a very high position of influence.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in 2017, like I say, and it's going to be, first episode is going to be on the actual CBS network channel, which everyone can view for free, or if you've got CBS. And then every other episode, don't know how many, could be 12, could be 23, whatever, is going to be all online exclusive, which I've got to say, I guess we should start there, maybe, how different this is. Because it says Star Trek back on TV, it's not, just the pilot is.
Well, first thing is, too, it's being released in January, so it's mid-season. So they're speculating it's only going to be 12 episodes and not a full season. So they're going to pack more quality into 12 episodes as opposed to stretching it out over 24 or 23, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, the same budget as an old series, and then you can condense it. I mean, you're going to see the quality, aren't you? So obviously, we've been waiting for 10-ish years to get a new series, and obviously, apart from just the surrealism of, oh, getting a new series, awesome. I read the announcement as well, saw Alex Kurtzman, saw digital, saw this jazz, and for some reason I didn't get that glowy buzz which you'd expect for such an announcement. I think, again, I'm still in shock or whatever, but it's very vague, and I think the press statement doesn't give enough information to really extrapolate anything on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the big questions we're going to ask in a few minutes, you can't answer with this, and as such, I don't know. I can't be excited because it could go any direction. I'm interested, yay! But at the same time, well, I have no idea what it's going to do. So I'm going to save the excitement until I hear some basic information.
And is it just me, or does it seem a little rushed? I mean, it's just a year and a little bit away. Usually, you get a little more notice for things like this because they need to get things up and running and filmed. I guess within 6 months, get everything post-production in time for January.
If it's only 12 episodes, and since you don't, just like they did with the actual show, you don't actually need to finish the VFX for each episode before it needs to be airing. So they only need to finish their first 6 episodes come January VFX, and then you have another 6 weeks to finish the next 6. So there is some level of time there, and if it's a very A Dark Matter is a good example of quite a low budget sci-fi, and it's very condensed, very sort of small.
Mm.
it's very good. You know, you can do a smaller budget piece and still make it work and be done quite quickly. So it's
Now, do you think at this point they have the premise down, what they want to do, and kind of what direction they're taking, or you just think
well,
they made the announcement to kind of get fan reaction and
I
kind
can't
of
imagine a producer said, today we'll announce Trek. Everyone's like, what? Yeah, we're going to announce a new Trek series, but we have no ideas. But we will have. We've got 11 months to make it. It's like, no. Yeah, obviously they've got the idea. They've got half of it cast. I'm sure they've got the ideas. I'm sure NDAs. They can't not be. It takes a long time to develop everything. You know, they've obviously got the concept. Otherwise, they wouldn't. You know, they had to probably tempt Kurtzman on. I mean, they had to have him sign up based on an idea, or a basic premise. He could start. What if the premise is the Borg invade Earth and everyone becomes Borg? It's Star Trek Borg. Would he sign on? I mean, why would he? There's got to be some hook. So I mean,
good point. Good point.
yeah, I don't know. It's such a vague thing, and the bits that sort of hit me obviously is that he's behind the previous JJ films, but he's known to be a Trek fan. Obviously, Trek fan means the older Treks. So that you know, there's a lot of hands in the pot to make JJ films what they were, and again, it wasn't made for them. It was made for the mass market, not for our market necessarily. So him being pulled away from that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to bring with him all that JJ baggage necessarily, and he could still be a great writer. Like it's very variable,
Yeah.
So that not necessarily oh dear by him. Although again, that certainly does make you think, okay, it'll be JJ related. But then if he was a fan of every Trek before that, well then he's got more knowledge of that universe. And then it says later on that it will not be linked to the upcoming feature film. Now, it's not related. That doesn't necessarily mean not JJ verse, because obviously not related just means it's not related. It could still be 100 years later, 200 years, 50 years later. There's a lot of not related stuff. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that kind of leads us into the main part of the show is what our speculation is, what we would like to see, perhaps. So I got a few ideas on things I would like to see and things I don't want to see, obviously, and I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah.
So where do you want to start? What do you want to? What's your first? What was your first imagining of what a next Star Trek series should be?
Oh God. Well, I mean, the first question is it JJ verse or is it Prime? But I think there is a third option. There could be alternate timeline. They could take it and they could pull from a point and then just diverse. I mean, wouldn't you like to see a mirror universe series? It's not Prime.
I would, but then not every, but a lot of Star Trek fans would be crying and screaming, well, that's not Gene's vision.
Oh, no, sure, absolutely. But I'm saying there is other variations we could do, even if it's, this happened and, off in another direction. So it's not necessarily just those two options. But personally, I do not want to see a JJ universe because it just throws away all the canon that we love, and that's the fun part, is to be able to dissect and be able to work it out, and that. Although it's difficult because I've heard people have said, "Oh, let's have a Sulu series in the JJ verse." It's like, okay, cool. I'd probably watch that. It would be like something I wouldn't see, and cool, it's a show, but I wouldn't be invested. There's nothing to be invested in, I think the Prime universe really only has the meat that can really get the hardcore fans in, the mediocre fans in, and a good story is a good story is a good story. So if you can put those things together, you can do anything.
Yeah, and the thing, like, I'm a TOS fan, and I honestly don't want to see it go TOS. I don't want to see it go pre-TOS with the Romulan Wars, which has been speculated, or even the Academy rumor is up again. Every time there's a new series or something coming out, there's the Academy with Kirk. I think that's a stupid idea.
Yeah.
And I wish people would stop bringing up that rumor, first of all. But so I'm gearing more towards either TNG era again or post TNG era, personally. I don't know how you feel about that. I think just the evolution it's what we need. I don't want to go back. I mean, I would love to see a new TOS series in a way, but at the same time, I don't know if you think that might make me come across as not being a TOS fanboy, but
TOS is in the past. I mean, that you love what was there.
The only way I think that might work is if they do a seasonal thing, like I kind of said in my captain's log. If they do it like True Detective or something, where every season is something different. Maybe TOS one season, then TNG.
That's just ups the production costs a bajillion times. So you'll build all the new sets each time. That's the only reason that won't happen. But yeah, absolutely, that'd be the best option. I think fan love would love that the most. I think it would be a mistake to do anything in Enterprise era, post Enterprise, TOS, especially TOS, because there's so much fan work out
Saturated,
there.
yeah.
And what is the point of TOS if you don't do Kirk, Spock, and McCoy? Because the era, is what we know everything that happens in the future. You can't do big changes. Axanar is a slight variation on how you can make that work, but again, you're limited with what you can do after that. TNG is a mined material, and then you wouldn't want to replicate tech that looks outdated now. And again, they had fatigue because they kept pushing that era. I don't think it's necessarily worth going back to any of the pre-existing eras because you're limited. I think the only way to make it an actual success is basically what they did with TNG. They push it forward beyond what we know. You can keep some of the same vibe, same aesthetic. I mean, TNG was almost, it's not the same, but there's so many little things. I mean, they had phasers, they had the color palette was the same for the uniforms, but everything else was different. So you can just do that again, but then because it's the future of the future, you can then use our technology to make it look more intricate, more detailed. And because Enterprise went from very detailed look to sleek TOS, but as you could see, our technology in real life improved. The technology in the show kept getting more detailed and detailed and detailed. The phaser rifles in Nemesis are far more detailed than in TNG, and at the same budget. So I think you could argue that if you push that another 100 years in the future, you could go back to everything looks detailed, really fancy sets, really high production value budget stuff, because it's the future would go back to a more technological basis.
And if you go into the future, you can do flashbacks, you can do callbacks and references.
Well,
stuff.
They've still got holodecks.
Oh, exactly. And I think another great idea, another great concept for a show would be a show that takes place primarily in the future, but like a time travel show.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah,
I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, just take a relativity time pod.
Yeah.
We've already got 20th century. They go through all the different eras, and then you've got, and especially since I'm sure the fan productions out there, the New Voyagers or the continued set, Farragut Films, whatever, they would happily volunteer their set. You just lost you took out the entire need to build a set. When the TNG bridge gets fully restored, you've got the TNG set to some extent there. And those are the most expensive parts. All the other sets are a bit more, hard to build. But straight away you can do a TOS couple of story arc or a TNG story arc, and I mean the fans would love that. And then you can go to any other. But then you do have a sort of Doctor Who storyline, and I think I'd rather have in-depth characters and really interesting era. Because I mean imagine Trek universe push 100 years, all the alliances, all the things we thought we knew can all change. So Klingons can be one thing, Romulans could be the head of the Federation. Anything can be different. But I just want to see the Trek universe with the lore that we love, because then every reference you make is worth something. I want to see references to famous characters, because that's awesome. Like I say, you can have them as holodecks, characters easily, or holograms. Anyone can come back, it's not really an issue. But you can push technology forward. I still want to keep the familiar colour schemes of the uniforms. Just keep that in uniform, and I'm happy. Just that. About enough, and it's the idea of a comm badge. Certain aesthetic things, keep those, and everything else can be upgraded.
Well, the thing you were talking about the going back to the TOS era, and that wouldn't work because everything looks so much more primitive compared to now. The only way that would work is if it was JJ verse, where it's more modernized version of it. So that's something I'm kind of dreading that they do.
Well, yes, that does make sense, unfortunately, for a JJ verse TV series, because that universe is now an open book. If you basically, and unfortunately, this is something that also makes sense. Star Trek itself has such an inbuilt fan base, but you obviously want to go beyond that fan base and appeal to a new audience. But I think most Trek fans have kids, and a lot of the time they become Trek fans. Like it is a generational thing. The passion that you have does follow through, and then your friends, the new films have brought new people in. I mean, that certainly has helped.
Yeah.
But I think the real clincher is if you want people to pay $5.99 a month. I mean, why would a random 23-year-old someone in Georgia, whatever, who's seen the JJ films? It's not, well, I'd say it's not a JJ verse, but or even is JJ verse. Why would they pay $6 a month just to watch a new Trek show?
Yeah.
There's no brand loyalty enough to pay that when you have Netflix, where it has everything. But if it's the hardcore Trek fan who wants the new Trek and will pay for it to support it, those are people who are going to pay for it, and then you can expand to new audiences beyond that. So I don't think it makes sense to target the new audience yet.
Yeah, and I think too if CBS offers every series as part of that.
Oh yeah.
That would be something I would actually consider paying for. But I'm actually kind of concerned that this was kind of rushed because it was coming up on the 50th. We hadn't heard anything about a new Trek series. Also, Star Wars is blowing up huge right now. I think CBS felt a little pressured because the fans are after them for the 50th anniversary. They wanted something special.
Well, it's one of the biggest franchises in human history. If you don't do anything, you'll.
Yeah, and I think they saw the buzz around Star Wars, and they're like, greedy, greedy, money, money. Let's see what we can do. See if we can throw it on our all access and have people subscribe to it, which kind of bugs me. So I just have the feeling this is all very rushed and very not well thought out or well planned, and that kind of concerns me. First of all,
Well, the thing is, a lot of Star Trek, Wrath of Khan and Star Trek Six, mostly Star Trek Six, was not well thought out, but it ended up becoming one of the best Trek films ever. So sometimes less time. I mean, talk all about designers. They don't get a lot of time to build these ships.
that's true.
Some of them become absolute genius because you've got to really make it work in the time frame. And they've still got a while to work it out. But even if it was rushed, they can't not have had development. That said, if you throw enough money at anything, you can develop as quickly as you want. I mean, that's not a problem.
Yeah,
but
So now I got a few other questions for you. Do you want it to be an enterprise? I don't know if I necessarily want it to be a future enterprise. I'd rather
happily enjoyed a Voyager and DS9. Don't need an Enterprise.
Exactly. I'd rather see maybe a different ship, different crew, maybe even in the same, like TNG era. It would be kind of neat to see a different take on things. But then again, you're stepping back into the TNG aesthetic.
And then you're set with the lore. You can't, oh my god! In 2 series time, the Klingons are going to become our enemy. Okay, we'll link into that.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't need an Enterprise. That's one thing I gotta say.
But I do need an Enterprise to appear.
Yes. Another great show idea that somebody commented on my last Captain's Log about would be have a cadet graduate Starfleet, probably at the end of TNG era, like when their mission is wrapping up after the Dominion War, let's say.
Okay, good.
Just graduating as a cadet, and then follow his service aboard ships, like for 7 years. The only problem I see with that is you're a cadet. You get crap duty. You get the lower deck duty. You don't get to see what's going on.
He'd be the chosen one, wouldn't he? He'd be the guy that's in odd situations. You're only seeing in a 24 episode arc, and maybe that was like a year and a half. Maybe he gets promoted to lieutenant. You're only going to see 22 days necessarily out of his years of service. So I mean, you can pick the best bits. That wouldn't be worthwhile. That's an interesting idea. I mean, just having the first episode, half it would be him at 12, different actor in the end of the TNG era. So you have some TNG sets. You have all these references. He's a young man, or even just like 6. He's lived. Maybe he's same storyline. His family got killed in the Dominion War at 5.
Mm-hmm.
And at 23, which is 20 years after the Dominion War, which is enough of a time gap, he joined Starfleet, and there you go. You've got the continuity, references, but then you're pushing straight away forward, and you've got the emotional connection, just like DS9 had with Wolf 359. But you've got this really impactful thing, and then it's an excuse to do some remasters of the space battles. We'll see a space battle we never saw, and then get Avery Brooks to come into a quick little cameo, fire torpedoes, and there you go. That's Avery Brooks. Well done. So you need a captain. You need someone to.
Yeah, you need a tie-in. You definitely
need that. That's a tradition. It's four times happened. So.
Yeah, let's see. I think that's a great idea. That's definitely workable. Now, another thing that I've been reading too, a lot of people want to see different races. They want one that's focused on the Klingons or the Romulans, and I don't know if that's necessarily. Yes, like that's what the series is about, the Klingon ship or something. I don't think necessarily that is a good idea.
Well, you want multicultural. You want the original vision. You don't want.
I know exactly. That's what I'm trying to get at. But a lot of people are clamoring for that kind of thing. Oh, I want to see a Romulan ship. I don't want to see Federation anymore. But the Federation, that's what makes Star Trek Star Trek. It's the future of mankind, humankind, being able to work together in peace.
You've got to think, if you're trying to go for a mass market, having a Romulan ship, there's got to be some seriously amazing story reasons. And so the first episode, you've got to explain who are Romulans, what's the backstory, and if you suddenly change the Romulan aesthetic and who they are from TNG or whatever, if it's post whatever, what's the point of having Romulans? Unless you use what makes them iconic, in which case you have to explain it. Well, that's a hell of an exposition. If it's just Federation, it's just humans in the future. Everything else can be, pinpricks and little details you can get through. If you're trying to be a hero race or something else, if they're going to make it successful, they've got to make a single crew, single ship, smaller cast, very ship-based for first series to make it a success. Now, have the funding to upgrade it and then push for it. It's like Firefly. Wouldn't you want to see a Star Trek Firefly, smaller budget and then very, ship-based, and you can have all that stuff. And then,
but I got a solution to that problem that I want to run by you. A CG show. A CG primetime show. It'd be easier to change your sets.
Yes.
You just have
again.
voice talents. I know it creates a
Oh, it's
whole new.
completely CG, like animated.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, do that as well. But
Uh,
that one, that straight away, you've just isolated most of the overall audience of just the public, because no one is going to watch the new Trek animated show who's not already a fan, or if it's a kids show, parents will make their
it won't
kids
be a
watch
kid show.
or ask them. But then it's not even going to appeal to anyone else because people don't like animated the same way as live action. You've straight
I
away
do.
lost most
Movies
people.
movies like Final Fantasy, that was completely CGI
Hmm.
and amazing CGI. I think that would be a great way to solve a lot of the problems for.
I gotta bring up the digital aspect though, because the digital is a very interesting concept. Now, TV itself is dying. I do not watch anything on TV apart from Doctor Who. It's the one exception.
I do, but
Um,
it's all DVR'd. I record it and watch it
well,
later.
exactly. So everyone, or most younger people, even older people now, use online streaming. So putting a flagship product, which has always been ahead of the times, on a digital service, which will get accurate ratings. So if you view it, they'll know. I guarantee it'll have the highest ratings of any Trek show because it's actually accurate viewing. For the first time in Trek history, they will know they've got a fan base. Piracy, yes,
I
will
was going to say
really
that,
will
yeah.
mess that up. Well, theoretically, you can still track that like Game of Thrones did. I mean, they were the most pirated show for years and years and years. Also,
Hmm.
the most successful show. So a quality show breeds quality, and then the DVD sales and Blu-rays make up for that, whatever. But better tracking the numbers because they're getting $6.99 per person per year or month. Is it per month?
It's per month, yeah.
Yeah, per month. That's a guaranteed budget for series. Imagine if 50 million, whatever. That's a hell of a lot of capital you can then build into the new show. So you're going to be paying. It's basically just it's a Patreon or Indiegogo. You're paying to support the new Trek, and the more of you do, the
Mhm.
more good quality Trek you're going to get. And imagine if a million do for the first series, second series 4 million. They've just tripled their budget, or at least they'll increase the budget hugely, and you'll see a better quality thing. But what I would like to see, to make me, if I could, even as an international, which I'd hope they would, because the world's much bigger than America, um, for me to pay the $6.99 a month, I would want access to all the Trek shows by default and the movies, the new show, but I'd also want them to start remastering DS9 and Voyager.
Yes.
Slow and steady, and that to be exclusive to the new platform, because then I would be able to enjoy all the old stuff again,
Yes.
remastered, and then suddenly by supporting the CBS, basically the CBS Trek brand, you're getting new Trek, you're getting old Trek, and you're bringing the old Trek back up to today's standards and getting it as it should have been seen. I
And
would
introducing it to
absolutely,
new fans that have subscribed for the new show. They get to
yeah.
see the old Trek too, which many of them might not have. So
Is any Star Trek good? Is the fact that there's new Trek, is that a good thing?
I feel yes, even if it is
Okay.
JJ. I would like to see JJ Next Generation. It could be very interesting,
Hmm.
but I don't want to see the advancement of that tech because you can beam planet to planet. Who needs a ship? Like really?
Yeah.
Um,
If you asked the people who saw the Phantom Menace, who hated the Phantom Menace after Star Wars came out, if you asked them, guys, would you have rather had this film or kept the old ones? I guarantee a large proportion of that, people who just didn't like Phantom Menace would say, "This is not good. I would rather have not have had this as Star Wars. I'd rather have kept my Star Wars as is." So I don't think just because it's new Trek, it can be good Trek. If it is a JJ Klingon verse where they, it could destroy the brand. It could destroy their faith in giving us new Trek. So they can easily destroy Trek. So I don't think it just being new Trek is the point. They have to make it what we want to see, and what is good quality.
like you said, they could destroy Trek or they could save Trek. Like Trek is in the balance here. But
Okay.
no matter what, we still have all the old Trek to fall back on
Mhm.
should the need arise.
And the amazing fan content, which might be at risk now given there's a new Trek, because that's obviously been CBS's
Yes.
position. We're not making anything new, so we're gonna, don't mess it up. But I mean, if there's new Trek, why would you want to support the fan series? It can go both ways. I mean, we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if they give fan series as, hey, you've got 1 year. When we make our new series, we'd rather nothing else be on the line, taking our press as it were. So you've got 1 year to finish everything.
That's the biggest mistake CBS could make
Um,
because the fans that are creating
but
content
this
are
is
the
a
hardcore
business,
fans.
unfortunately. I know if you alienate the biggest fan base, the hardcore, the guys have already given millions at this point with X and Renegades and whatnot. Yeah. but they're a business. They don't see the world like the hardcore fans do because we're an odd bunch.
Well,
Yeah.
I vote you for CBS president with the pitch you just gave about all that. Samuel, yes. Oh,
But I think either it will be a JJ verse TNG-ish era because that makes sense, and they can sell
yeah.
it as, hey, we're pushing Star Trek, and it'll be a full reboot, and that whatever makes sense. Well, it makes more sense. Or I would go, personally, I would say 25th century, 100, just 100 years pushed. It'll be enough different. And then you can use a holodeck or holograms to bring in old people. And I would not care if they obviously they have to age them, but that's fine. Whatever. That's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally like your idea about remastering the DS9 and TNG as a bonus thing
Voyager.
for Voyager for a reason to subscribe to the All Access. I think that's brilliant.
Even if it was one series every 2 years, that's fine. Or season, sorry, one season.
Yeah.
If it takes a long time, that I would pay to be able to watch a new, a remastered and beautiful. They were beautiful looking DS9 episode every month. That's cool. That's a bonus. I'd love to see that.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
it'd take a while to get to the good stuff, but that's fine. That's fine. I don't mind. Do a Voyager and a DS9. I'd be very happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. But that's what I think is realistic. But what would you like to see most? What would be your perfect next TV show?
Honestly, I'm all for the CGI idea. Like I said, I love the Final Fantasy CGI movie. I thought that I've always liked that kind of look. I think that would be cool in a Star Trek thing. You could do so much with it. But I don't know what era I'd want it set in. I want to kind of be surprised. Like I said, TOS would be cool in a way, but at the same time, it's saturated. There's so much TOS.
What new can you do?
Exactly.
That would really be the wow. You made a new just like I say. I'd love to see a two-parter like Mirror Universe and Enterprise. You can do two-parters, have a good story, and the universe is almost or the TOS-ness of it is almost set like, oh, we're in TOS, great. This is a good story, and it's like you just enjoy the world. Because it's not about it being TOS. It's about having a story in the TOS world and enjoying that as the scenery.
I know what would be great. Let's follow Q on adventures. You can go to any timeline, anytime, do anything, anywhere.
John Delancey's son, who is also Q, is not that old.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Aged Q. That's cool.
But there'd be a lot of boring stuff and a lot of stuff I wouldn't want to see in that one too. So
a lot of monologues.
Yes. I don't know. What about you? What would be your perfect thing? What would your ideal thing be?
I think it would be what would be perfect. I think would be a show post TNG. Maybe it's Temple Investigations. Maybe it's holodeck based, and it's, it's a quantum leap, sort of. Maybe
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Maybe there's say 13 episodes, and there's a 13 episode arc, which is very galactically important. Okay, now I'm going Assassin's Creed here. Galactically important, but they have to go into the past or / holodecks to try and find some clues as to how to stop it. So that's an excuse to have a two-parter TOS, two-parter Enterprise, two-parter TNG. And obviously sets are going to be the most difficult thing, but you could do green screen half of it and just build in the front part, green screen the rest of it, make it really clever, and you could probably do that, relatively speaking. And
that's great. And the whole goal of the entire series, not series, multiple seasons, is to just eradicate the JJ verse, because that was a huge screw up, and they need to fix it. And it's a lot of intricate. No, I should shut up now.
But could you imagine though if the first series of 13 episodes season was, like I said, the overriding arc, say the Borg are back, new Borg, Borg from the future. I don't know.
Why not?
Or even just Race from the future, whatever. Or even Race from another galaxy. There you go, the Andromedans, whatever. Andromeda
That'd be
galaxy.
awesome.
They've come in, and it's a new couple of people, and they're descendants of someone in each of our timelines. So you've got a Troy, you've got a whatever, but they're like long distance, like it's quite a way in the future. So then it's not like that's not important, but it's a nice like part of it. And even an O'Brien, just whatever, maybe. And then the first 8 episodes is 2-parters in each different timelines to bring us to the current timeline, and then you move past old canon. So you acknowledge all of it. You have a really amazing story in each timeline with green screen, with the set. You can bring in the old actors and help it really flow, and that sets it off into its own adventure where now you've saved the galaxy that time, and then just now you're in the 25th century, and every fan will be like, wow, best series of Trek ever. We love you. Look forward to some new stuff, and we'll be like appeased, and we'll be
Hmm.
And each era can, really relish in this new technology. How can we make TNG look even more special with, even better special effects, even with even better camera work. That sort of stuff you can do with it. That would be, but then like say you push past that, and then you just work in the future timeline or the present timeline for them. But it's a
Hmm.
nice way of having it. I guess having it all, having a cake and eating it too. Um,
The thing that I do understand why it's taken so long for honestly to come up with the new Star Trek series is because it's
mm,
hard. You got
yeah,
you don't want to go back to the past like they did with Enterprise. You don't want to keep going ahead to the future all the time because eventually we're going to be thousands of years into the future. So
yeah,
it's hard to come up with new ideas. So it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with. But I am glad that Star
yes.
Trek is coming back to TV because
For one
it's
episode.
like that's its medium is the small screen. They can tell better stories, more character development, more socially related issues
Yeah,
instead of just a big screen adventure, shoot him up, bad guy, we got to destroy him. That's not what Trek is.
yeah.
So the movies for Trek don't really work in some ways. It belongs on the small screen. So I'm glad it's coming back in whatever form. Hopefully it'll be good. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed and I'm being optimistic. And well, a lot's going to change between now and then, guys. People are freaking out about all this, Kurtzman and this all access. I mean, things can change in a year. They might change their mind. They might say, okay, it won't be all access. We're going to put it on or whatever. Or
I think that's gonna be set in stone.
well, maybe. But
Because
I'm just trying
like
to
I
be
said,
optimistic and maybe
it,
say
it
that.
it's like with the Xbox. The Xbox One had loads of new features that were going to push, where society of gaming was going, but people
Yep,
weren't ready for it, so they had to cancel them all.
yep.
If they stick with their guns and push forward, put purely digital media, like I say, they'll be able to track numbers, get direct revenue, get ad revenue, like that will set Trek. They can completely pay for the show just by us paying for the service. I mean, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, but I'm afraid if it's JJ verse, let's say, you got 50% of the fan base that is not going to invest in it, and it's gonna ruin the franchise because they're going to say, oh look, Star Trek is not a moneymaker because we didn't get what we anticipated, mainly because you guys screwed up. But
Well, no, if they do a JJ series, then they've made their decision. They'll get the backlash. They'll see the result. They'll see the numbers, and they'll say, "Damn, that didn't work. Let's do a prime timeline because all
I don't
fans
think
be."
they would do that
If
because they'd say it's a fail. It didn't work out, so we're not going to bother making a new one.
I if they went the 100% that route and it was a complete failure, that really just says that side of it's a failure.
Oh well, speaking looking at how producers think and money, it's going to be, oh, Star Trek's a failure, and it's going to get pushed off into this category. That it's not their
I
number one
think that's
franchise.
very short sighted because I think they would see it as right.
I totally agree.
Now if we do a prime timeline, we're gonna get all the fans that didn't support it. I think the
Not going
actual
to get the
opposite.
JJ fans now, so
Well, that's fine.
I know. I just think no matter what they do, they've kind of screwed themselves. It's either going to backfire in their faces hugely, or it's going to be a huge cash cow for them. I really don't know what to say. I mean, it could go either way.
Basically, they should just make a good quality TV show.
Yes.
That's the best thing they can do, honestly. Um, Although whatever they do, we're obviously going to compare it to other franchises because if they just do another thing around Earth, it'll be compared to this show. If they do,
Mm.
out to another galaxy, it'll be compared to, Farscape or whatever. Oh, it's completely new alien, and there's only 11 crew members, and the ship is damaged. Oh, it's what's
Mm.
that one that get lost? Well, Lost in Space,
Lost in Space, yeah.
maybe, or
Although that being said, I think a starbase established in another galaxy as part of this expansion for Federation, the first starbase out there would be kind of cool. One or two ships.
that's the thing. This announcement doesn't tell us anything. It could be
Yeah, yeah.
anything. So I think the best thing for all fans to do is just, yay, that's nice, that's awesome. Let's wait for some more news in a few months, and then we can really discuss
And like I
whatever it
said, be
means.
supportive so that CBS sees that the Star Trek community is united and wants something new,
Well, I think
despite
they
what
know
it
we do.
is.
I think that message has been clear. It just depends how they follow up on it.
I've seen a lot of stuff online that is with Kurtzman's name. A lot of people are like, oh, poo-pooing on it.
People shouldn't be as negative. They
I
don't know
agree.
anything yet.
I
They do
agree.
not know anything yet. That's the point. If they said JJ show, that's information. If they said prime. I think the best thing they could have done is just announce, oh yeah, it's a prime timeline show. Most of the fans who complained would be like, oh okay, I'll wait then.
Yeah,
Probably
exactly.
the best thing they could have done to
Fair.
counteract this negative press. really.
I
But
think they put their feelers out there, did this announcement, and they're all sitting back watching, reading social media,
Yeah.
going, what's going on?
yeah, I think so.
And I think that's why we need to get out there and on Twitter, hashtag 2017 Star Trek, and just talk about what you guys want to see. Give them ideas, give them
But be
feedback.
positive. Always in Trekyards we say,
Yeah.
Negativity, if it's creative, it's worth something. But just bitching, just negative, it doesn't help anyone.
Yeah.
I don't like
Agreed.
this because that's useful. It sucks, not useful. And
Yeah.
we like be positive. There's always positives in any ship, any era, any verse. So look for it, guys.
Yeah. And let your voice be heard. So I guess that's basically it for this podcast.
Well,
We
you
touched
guys
on
asked for it. You guys asked for it, so here you go. Hope you enjoyed it.
we touched on a lot of stuff. We're looking forward to hearing your comments, your show ideas, your thoughts on anything we said in the comments below. So definitely do that. And
fundamentally, first thing you should write in the comments: would you do the 699? Yes or no? And would you do it for the thing I said, the remasters and new show? Would you do it for that?
Yes.
I want to know what the fan reaction to that would be.
I already say yes. That's a great idea.
But would you pay $10 for that?
Yes.
A month? I would. Yeah, I would too.
Well, don't say that. Now CBS is going to jack the price up.
For remasters, I would do. I would pay £10 a month, which isn't very much.
I guess.
Isn't very much. Okay, cool.
All right, so that's it. So we're going to be talking about this for the next year. As soon as, whenever new information comes out, we're going to be chatting on it. So look forward to that. But we look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. So let's do that. Let's interact.
All right, well, until next Trekyards episode of any of the shows, have a great week, whatever, and see you next time, I guess.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.